about assembling things in Creo Parametric. We're going to do a couple of different things here, but I want to show you that we have nothing in session currently. And in our working directory, I actually have created an empty assembly that we're going to be using to kind of put together some things. So this is kind of a build up from scratch type of demonstration here. So if the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that my session is clean. So I'm going to erase memory, and then I'm going to do a couple of very important things here. I'm going to open up the models that I need. And you can do this generically. If you want to open up a bunch of stuff that you're going to assemble, you can just do that. In this case, I'm going to start off with basket.prt. And that's very specifically the first thing we want to open. Then we want to open the model that we're going to be doing the assembly operations with. So we'll do a model open and then empty, if I can spell correctly, empty.asm. And if we run this now, you'll notice that it has opened up that stuff. And if we look in session, we can see that we have the two models that we're interested in. Now, the assemble function actually works really cool. So you identify the model you want to assemble and where you want it to go. And this assumes that the assembly you're going to be performing this with is in session at the time. So if I type in basket.prt and the default location it's going to go to is the active model by default, but we can be specific about where we want it to go. And then also the target location, like the coordinate system reference that is going to relate each of these two items. If you leave this just kind of empty like it is, it's going to assemble it as a packaged component. So basically it'll ensure that it's in the bill of materials, but it won't be constrained. If we want to constrain that, all we have to do is come in and turn on our coordinate system references here. And let's take a look at what this one is. So that's our front plate reference. What else do we have? Where's this cone reference at? I thought I saw. Yeah, cone reference. So cones is one location, but let's use the front plate reference because we'll use that as the foundation for where we place the rest of the stuff. So we'll type in the name of that coordinate system is front plate. And we want that to go into our empty assembly because we're going to be very specific about this. And that's just going to go to the ASM def c sys. Okay. So now when we run this, make this a little bit wider here. So now when we run this, it'll erase memory, assemble it in, and you can see now that it's fully constrained. So if we take a look at the constraints that are here, you can see that it's been properly constrained and it is ready to go. Now you'll notice a few other things here. We have these screw references, and there is a reference within one of the models that we have. Let's go take a look at that. I've got a family table here, but you could see that it also has a screw reference that's been defined. And if we come in and we say, okay, I really want to now, as a next step, let's assemble the screws. And we could do that a couple of ways. We could actually open the screw up and get it in memory before this process starts, which is really not a bad idea. So we'll type in screw.prt. So that's in session. And then we'll assemble, we'll do our assemble operation on the basket, and then we will then assemble the screw to that also. So screw is the name of the coordinate system, and let's go stick it at screw 1 within the basket.prt. Okay. So let's go ahead and run this. And again, we're erasing and building this up from scratch. And you can see that it has placed that screw up in that location right there. Another cool thing about this, you could go in and say, copy and paste this down and then add in, basically take advantage of the auto indexing there. But to be quite honest, that's not good practice unless you really know or you have things you want to specifically control like that. We're just going to use a wildcard for the screw reference. So if the number of screw locations changes for where we put those in, we can just use the wildcard and it will adapt. The automation will basically adapt to all of the locations and automatically place those as it goes. So that's a basic overview of how to use the assemble function.